Isis is one of the most well-known netters in Egyptian mythology, but what can her name tell us about her? Especially since it's a Greek adaptation of her original name, which was something like Auset. So let's look at the hieroglyphs and see what they have to say about her. Her name is made up of 3 hieroglyphs, a throne, an egg, and the upper half of a circle that identifies her as a female netter. And these can be followed by one of the netter hieroglyphs. Now in the last video we saw how the throne makes up half the name of Osiris, the twin brother and husband of Isis, who are so close that both of their names begin with this symbol. The throne is the seat of the royal principle, and each of its 3 levels support the 3 segments of the human body, which is our vehicle through life. It can also remind us about posture. Picture yourself sitting on a throne right now and check how straight your spine is. The throne embodies the respect and majesty of whoever sits upon it. And with Isis, it's not just part of her name, but it's also her primary symbol that sits on top of her head. That's because in their funerary beliefs, the mummy was identified as Osiris, and on many sarcophagi, Isis is placed beneath his feet. So symbolically, the throne of Osiris stands upon her head. And remember, her primary role is to provide all that's needed to fulfill your contract. Eggs are an essential part of motherhood, and when she united with Osiris, Isis took the form of a bird, a kite, so it's no surprise the second hieroglyph is an egg. But let me ask, what are you actually seeing here? An egg, you say, but all you can actually see of an egg is the egg shell. You see how the hieroglyphs engage you to interact with them. By showing you an eggshell, they invoke a complete vision of its entire contents, which are in fact hidden from your eyesight. A mother incubates these hidden contents, alchemically transforming them from an unstructured state into a clearly defined form, as the liquid yolk and albumin turn into a solid replica of its parent. So as Isis sits on her all-powerful throne, she's constantly bringing something new into being. If you're new to my channel, I've spoken a lot about this hieroglyph in my other videos. And when it's placed at the end of a name, it lets you know it's a female principle. Now the female principle is that which contains. And the eggshell you see in the hieroglyph is perfectly designed to hold and protect its contents, which are hidden from view. Among its multidimensional meanings, its shape scribes the path of the sun, Ra, as he crosses the day sky, while the horizontal line at the bottom defines the horizon. It also forms exactly 1/2 of the hieroglyph for Ra, and remember that the female principle governs 1/2 of the world. Like Osiris, Isis' name was significantly altered during the Ptolemaic period, so again we don't know exactly how it was pronounced. And here I'd like to remind you that the hieroglyphs are not an alphabet, so they don't work the same way as letters. Each one is not tied to a particular sound, and many of them can be pronounced in different ways, the throne being one example. Accepting the throne as Aus, which we saw in the name of Ausir Osiris, the egg is pronounced Set or Sut, while the female determinative repeats the T sound. Hence her name was something like Auset. When spelled out, the word Sut includes this hieroglyph, which Egyptologists call a length of fabric draped over something. But let's look at it on a more molecular level, because I here present it as a chromosome in the phase of cell division. It's a little bit complicated, but basically it's how a new body of cells are formed with exactly the same DNA as the parent strand, which modern science calls the S phase of DNA replication. And this hieroglyph is associated with the sound S. These new formed cells contain the vital fire that burns in all living things, and they carry the genes and hereditary characteristics of the father's seed. And how appropriate is that for Isis carrying the seed of Osiris to father the child Horus? Next, a tiny quail chick is related to the oo sound, and its diminutive size evokes the promise of its rapid growth at this early stage of life. The semicircle is pronounced T, and it reaffirms Isis' female capacity of holding or containing something, as though in a womb. Thus, the hieroglyphs for an egg show the replication of the DNA that carries the vital blueprint of the parent in the most minute form, and all of this is contained in an eggshell. Effectively, the main difference between the names of Isis and Osiris is the egg and the eye. And what's the difference between an egg and an eye? They both have a similar oval shape, and each contains a colored circular disc floating on a white ground. Yet the eye is that which can see, whereas the inside of an egg holds something that will eventually see, after it's been incubated and solidified into a genetic form. And while Osiris' eye oversees your contract, Isis is constantly in the process of invoking, of bringing something into being, just as the egg brings the chick into being. The egg is to Isis what the seed is to Osiris. Think about it. The seed holds the potential to germinate and create new life. And isn't every seed contained in a sheath or some kind of protective shell? And while in the form of a bird, didn't Isis carry the seed of Osiris in an egg inside her womb? Yet notice how in this image of the conception, her name is written with only the throne and the semicircle, because here she's just receiving that seed, which she will then carry to give birth to the most important netter for humanity, Horus, who symbolizes cosmic consciousness. And here we can draw a parallel to the resurrection of Jesus, which is celebrated at Easter, with Easter eggs. So, what can the name Auset tell us about her? And remember, what we're speaking about is a personification of a cosmic law. Well, the throne tells us this is someone of the highest possible ranking who is capable of governing with divine grace and authority. And placing it on top of her head shows that she supports and upholds all that it stands for. then the egg lets us know she holds the imminent possibility of bringing anything you can imagine to life, to fruition. And the half circle confirms she is a female principle whose role is to hold and contain these powers for whenever they're needed. And that sums up the Netta we now call Isis, the ultimate magical mother figure who has a masterly control over the great powers she holds. By looking into her name, you see how much the hieroglyphs can expand our understanding of both Isis and her consort Osiris. So to keep expanding your understanding of the cosmic laws, click the like and subscribe buttons and consider supporting the channel through the Buy Me a Coffee link that you'll find in the description below, where you'll also find a link to my blog, News from Beyond. And as ever, thank you for watching.